It's with great pleasure that I welcome Dr. Daniel Greenstein, Chancellor of Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education, to Kutztown and Kutztown University. Dr. Greenstein became the 5th Chancellor of the state system in September. He serves as Chief Executive Officer of the state system, which operates Pennsylvania's 14 public universities and serves about 100,000 students. The Chancellor works with the Board of Governors to recommend and develop overall policies for the system. Dr. Greenstein previously led the post-secondary success strategy at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where he worked with higher education leaders across the country on initiatives designed to raise educational attainment levels and to promote economic mobility, especially among low-income and minority students. He developed and implemented a national strategy for increasing the number of degrees awarded and for reducing the attainment of gaps among majority and non-majority students at U.S. colleges and universities. Before joining the foundation, Dr. Greenstein was Vice Provost for Academic Planning and Programs at the University of California System. He has created and led several internet-based academic information services in the United States and in the United Kingdom, and served on boards and acted in strategic consulting roles for educational, cultural heritage, and information organizations. He began his academic career as a senior lecturer in modern history at Glasgow University in Scotland. Dr. Greenstein holds both bachelor's and master's degrees from the University of Pennsylvania and a doctorate in philosophy from the University of Oxford. An enthusiastic cyclist, Dr. Greenstein and his wife Melissa have 2 children. Please welcome Dr. Greenstein.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Great. Great to be here. It's great to be back in Pennsylvania. I went to school, obviously, in Philly, and my grandmother was there as well. And my father grew up there, obviously. When I got to Philly, I realized I had this entire network of cousins, second cousins, that I didn't even know about. So it's kind of interesting to come back. My grandmother, who passed away some years ago at the age of 99, I'm sure would be laughing her head off that here I am standing and speaking to you, and just delighted that I'm back in Pennsylvania, where I suspect she wanted to be all along. So it's great to be here. So I'm sure that some of you are asking yourselves, what's a nice guy like you doing in a place like this? You know, why would anyone move from Seattle to Pennsylvania in order to take over the leadership of a system which is facing, you know, a significant number of challenges? So the answer is pretty simple. We have an opportunity to reimagine public higher education in this country. The challenges that are facing this state system, they're not unique. They're facing universities and colleges and systems across the country, certainly in public higher education. And they boil down to one thing, really, which is how can our universities sustainably ensure that all students can affordably get the education they need after high school to support themselves. It's my daughter. There's a lot of thinking going on. Okay. How can we sustainably, affordably ensure that all students get the education they need in order to participate effectively in the 21st century economy, contribute to their communities, sustain their families? And it sounds daunting, but I believe that by working together with the faculty and the staff and the students of this great university and our system and our surrounding business, civic, and political communities and leaders within them, and thank you so much for coming, we're better positioned than anywhere else to take this challenge on and to succeed. We have the passion, we have the grit, we have the determination, we certainly have the sense of urgency to win, which is why I'm excited. And I'll be honest with you, now and forever, when I stepped down from Gates, I was looking for a place that had, I believed, a chance to reimagine higher education for the 21st century, public higher education for the 21st century. I was hoping maybe I'd find that place 6 months or 12 months after I left Gates, because I kind of needed that break, but there you go. Pennsylvania came along, and that's why I'm here. And the belief that I have that we will succeed, it's only been reaffirmed and reinforced actually by conversations today with some students and then with a great group of faculty and staff. And in the countless emails that I've received from so many of you, in response, I put a blog up on my first day here, and I invited people to respond, talk about opportunities and challenges and who we are and where we should go. And I have been literally overwhelmed by response. Hundreds of emails, and I am responding to each one. And if you sent one and I haven't responded, it's because I'm a little behind. They're super intense. They carry so much emotion and intensity and passion, creativity. You can only do about a dozen at a time. Not because of the time it takes, but because of the mental and emotional energy it takes to read and respond to. It's powerful stuff. Let me share an example. You're leading a team, referring to all of us as a team, that is truly passionate about providing our students with the most comprehensive, innovative, life-changing experiences possible. I can't tell you the number of times I have watched faculty completely transform their teaching and their research methods in dramatic and very labor-intensive ways in the constant search for the best way to inspire students. I see staff and administrators quietly working so many extra hours to make sure our students are well taken care of. We are watching our students launch towards their hopes and dreams and the hopes and dreams that we have for them. It's flat out inspiring. And I believe from the emails and from the many conversations that I've had with faculty and staff and board members and trustees that we're willing to identify and tackle our challenges head on because we know that we have to. Because we know that the lives of our students and the communities we serve depend on our doing that. And I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time listing our challenges because you know very well what they are. Bluntly, we're struggling to deliver a quality education to our students using instructional support and business models that have been around since at least the 1950s. We're focusing on high school graduates, and we're educating them for careers in business and industry, in the civil and political and learned services. And these models, they have served us and our students exceptionally well for decades. But their effectiveness has waned as the composition and the needs of our student body, the demands being made on us and on them by their employers, and our funding models have all changed dramatically. And in a state like Pennsylvania, where the size of the high school leaving population is projected flat to 2025 and then falls off a cliff, our challenges are compounded by cutthroat competition. Our public and our private colleges, our universities combined, have too much capacity. There are more seats than there are traditional high school leaving students to fill them. And we know that there are populations that we need to serve who are underserved, adult learners, low-income students, students of color, single working parents. They need us too. But educating these students requires a fundamental rethink of our practices and approach. And it stands to reason. We're all educators, most of us, many of us. And we know that education isn't just a fire hose. You can just point at another student group and it works. Or you can move into another academic program and it works. Right? It stands to reason. Educating a student from urban Philadelphia who comes to us with a 2.0, I'm making this up, has first in their family to go to college, has 1 or 2 levels of developmental need in math and English, or English, right? Educating that student to success is completely different than educating a student who comes to us from the region with a 3.8 GPA, 4th generation in their family to go to college, and has a legacy here at Kutztown. And that's different yet again than successfully educating the student who's an adult who comes back to college, perhaps after years, between having been in college, to get some form of credential that gives them the bump in the labor market that they're looking for. And we're asked to innovate to serve these new student groups at a time when our funding is constrained and the space and the resources for innovation is constrained along with it. And you've heard all this before. It's not new. And I got to tell you, in my view, these are all technical issues. We have the creativity and the talent and the technical capability and the models in higher education to address each one of these issues. They are not our challenge. Technical capability, how to solve these problems, is not our greatest challenge. Our greatest challenge, and this is based on my observations of having been here, this is the 4th day of my 9th week. Our challenge is our culture. From my early observation, our culture is defined by distrust between union and management, between the universities and the system, between trustees and board members, sometimes between universities and their communities. It actually shows up in meetings that I have attended, in eye rolling, in comments that are made by members of one group at the expense of members of another. It shows up as a dearth of active listening, the kind of listening you do when you're really trying to understand where a person's coming from and why they're coming from where they're coming from and what they want and why. It appears to me to involve positioning from trenches that have been deeply dug over decades around issues that are critical and around issues that are trivial. It involves uncivil discourse that has become the new and, to me, unacceptable norm of our political and civil society. And maybe that's not true here at Kutztown, but if it is, and if we want to address those technical challenges and get to a better place for our students and our university and our state, then we're going to have to stand up together as one body, lock arms, suspend our disbelief in one another, and as one body say, enough. We cannot control the demographic and the political and the economic trends that are hammering away at this and virtually every other university in this country. But we can control how we behave towards and interact with one another. We can transform our culture. When it comes to our culture, we run this place. It's something that we do and we can control. And when we do transform our culture, we will create an environment in which the inclusive and courageous conversations that we know we're going to need to have to chart a course for this university and our system, we will create an environment in which those conversations can take place. And I ask myself, how hard is that to transform our culture? What does it mean? Showing respect to one another, offering trust to one another, listening to one another, using our words collegially to one another. These are things we're taught as children. These are things we teach our children. We expect these things of our nephews and nieces. They're normative behaviors of our society. So here's an idea, radical concept. Let's use the opportunity that we have to chart a new course for this state system and our 14 universities, this so-called system redesign. Let's use this as an opportunity to transform our culture. Let's engage in open and inclusive and honest and transparent and data-informed and civil conversations about the issues we know we need to nail down and align around and move forward with. Let's begin by asking ourselves essential questions like, who are our students? Who ought they be? What can they reasonably afford? And what do we mean by their success? Let's ask ourselves, what do we expect of our universities? What do we mean by their success? Let's ask ourselves, what are we trying to accomplish as a system? Is this a loose confederation of standalone universities, each financially self-sustaining, kind of a Darwinian model? Or is it a confederation of universities where when some stumble, become weak, you tax the rich to help the poor? Robin Hood model? Or is it something else? Let's ask ourselves, how by working together can we unlock the creativity and the power and the talent and the passion of our faculty and staff that shows up in all of these emails that I keep getting? Because it's the passion and the power and the creativity and the talent of our faculty and staff which will ultimately drive our student success. Disappointingly, I learned early on in my short tenure, you cannot legislate student success from the Chancellor's office. You can't do it from the President's office. Doesn't work for the Provost. Is the Provost here? Don't tell her. Oh, sorry. Can't do it from the Dean. The research demonstrates the real impact on our students and their success comes from faculty and staff who engage with them every day. So let's use these conversations to develop real goals for our system and our universities against which we can build real strategies and chart their progress and hold ourselves accountable for our progress. And then let's have the honest and informed conversations that we know we're going to need to have about the trade-offs that we know we're going to need to make to achieve our goals, given the very real constraints that we operate under, demographically, financially, politically. Let's commit ourselves to this in 2018, 2019. And where does that get us? For me, I'd like to see it getting to a place where a year from now we can make a tuition and a budget decision that's actually informed by strategy and not by some abstract notion of a revenue gap, right? That we can really begin to think about allocating resources, financial and human resources, in terms of the goals we're trying to accomplish for our students. I'd like to see it get us to a place by 2019, 2020 that there's real evidence that faculty and staff are finding even greater joy in their work, that our universities are emerging as great places to work and to grow professionally. And importantly, I'd love to see us standing shoulder to shoulder in Harrisburg, our students, our faculty, our staff, our board members, our trustees, our management and union leaders, our civic and business leaders, making an irresistible case for the power and promise of this great system, not just in words, reciting our mission and purpose, but with reference to recent accomplishment that we have achieved working together. By doing this, we will start what I believe will be a long but ultimately successful journey restoring the public's trust and our proud place in the hearts and minds of the people of Pennsylvania. I know that day will come. I felt the desire for it from so many of you. You care deeply, as I do, about our students and our mission. You believe deeply, as I do, in our collective talent. And you want, as much as I do, for our students to succeed. You want our culture to evolve so our students will succeed. It's another email. Chancellor Greenstein, you know the challenges you are up against, economically and culturally. You're going to need to rebuild trust and create better procedures to bolster healthy relationships. However, you must know there are so many innovators on this team, again, all of us as a team. I see and hear the most amazing ideas and energy for reinvigorating our system all over campus. I am confident that people are ready to be invited to have these brave conversations. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. So, as you get to know me, you'll learn that I am an irrepressible optimist. I believe that we can and we will address all of our challenges successfully, even joyfully, by mobilizing our collective talent, tapping into the passions that we share, and releasing our entrepreneurial spirit. I can't promise you that you will like every decision that I make, but I can, and I do, promise the following. That I will work tirelessly for all our students, regardless of their zip code, regardless of their background, because all must have an opportunity to succeed. That I will strive for greater equity and social justice because it's the right thing to do. And because it's also a deeply held personal commitment that I made to my parents and that I make to my kids. That I will demonstrate my profound respect for the academic enterprise and my deep appreciation for the faculty and staff who contribute to it. I started my career 5 years ago amongst you. I am delighted at this stage in my career to be back amongst you. I promise that I will ensure that the discussions that I am involved in and the decisions that I make are informed by data and analysis, and that I will listen actively and seek to learn, and that I will move with speed because we do not enjoy the luxury of time. But as I move with speed, I will, to the full extent of my ability, be transparent and inclusive. And I promise you that I will make mistakes because I'm human, and that's what humans do. But when I do make mistakes, I hope you'll let me know, with the feedback that will make me a better chancellor, a better leader, a better servant to you and to our students and to Pennsylvania. And yes, you can, and I hope you will, hold me accountable for those promises. This is not going to be easy, but we have a North Star to guide us. Or at least I have been offered one in yet another incredibly beautiful email. Chancellor Greenstein, by now you know that most of our students are not the sons and daughters of the wealthy, yet they are some of the brightest, most ambitious learners. Most are not handed over businesses upon graduation. They see opportunities to create new ones. They do not inherit portfolios. They build them. In many ways, they are immigrants, not just from other lands like their grandparents, but from other socioeconomic backgrounds, searching for the mobility to make their ways to richer, more productive lives. They are coming to realize their new power, the power of a million new ideas. That's a North Star. Sustaining this great university and our system in service of these immigrants now and into the future. That's a North Star. So that's enough from me. I look forward to speaking with you. No question, comment, issues off the table. Look forward to it. Thank you.